إن الله ربي وربكم فاعبدوه هذا صراط مستقيم.
Our dear viewers, welcome to today's program, Truth Unveiled, with me, Mwanika Said, your host. Our topic of discussion today is the essence of Jesus' miracles, alayhi salatu wasalam. As we speak now, miracles in the church have become a basis on which people depend their faith. We want to discover, was this the same case in the early church, or it is just an invention, rather an innovation, to spice up the faith? Not only that, when we examine the whole Bible, what does it have to tell us? With me in the studios are two guests. On my immediate right-hand side is Mr. Israel Talga, a missionary in charge of Kampala, Ahmadiyya Muslim Association, Uganda.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Next to him is the General Secretary of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association Uganda, Mr. Adam Hamid Sembajwe.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all our viewers.
Good to see you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
To begin with Mr. Israel, miracles in the church have become so common, but one would wish to know, what are miracles?
Thank you very much. From the Islamic point of view, miracles are those extraordinary actions that are performed, but when you look at it from the religious point of view, whatever you perform and it seems to the viewers to be extraordinary, that's what you can refer to as a miracle. But miracles that are performed, especially by prophets, they are always performed with the help of the Almighty Allah. That's why when you study the Bible properly and the Holy Quran, it is clearly mentioned that when a prophet is performing miracles, he always accompanies with whatever he does with the words that I am doing this by the command of God. They are not performed by himself per se, but rather by the help of God the Almighty. Another thing to learn about miracles is that when somebody performs an act that looks strange at that particular time, people regard it as a miracle. Take an example. Look at the scientific advancement that has been achieved. When you look at the power of a magnet,
Right.
if it was to be done in the earlier days, people could have marveled that this is a miracle. But today, the field of magnetism is no longer a miracle. So, briefly, this is what I can say, that a miracle is something that seems strange or extraordinary to the people of that particular time due to their limited understanding or due to their intellect.
Thank you very much. Mr. Adam, what do you have to supplement?
One thing that is very important for everybody to understand is that miracles fall under the realm of the laws of nature. They may be extraordinary to people who are watching them at that time. Any such acts performed by any holy person or a prophet for that matter, they may be extraordinary to them. And they are performed by the help of God, indeed, as my brother has rightly put it. But they fall under one or the other laws of nature, or one or two combined, which may not be grasped by the people at that time, depending on their level of understanding of the scientific advancements. But it's very important to also understand that a miracle at one time, at another time it might not be, when man has advanced a little bit further. For example, the healing miracles of Jesus, medicine today is producing far better results than what those healing miracles seem to be. At that time, it was wonderful for somebody who had lost sight to regain sight. Today, on a daily basis, hundreds of people are being treated and they are regaining their sight. No longer a miracle. And even those doctors who are performing these operations, they don't claim extraordinary powers. It's simple knowledge which they acquire in classrooms and they continue reproducing it. So miracles might be those extraordinary acts performed with the help of God at a particular time when they are not, when the people seeing them, they don't understand how it is being done. But indeed, they fall under the realm of the laws of nature.
Well, Mr. Adam, having given us a clear explanation or the definition of a miracle, it is said in the whole Bible that the whole personage of Jesus Christ, alayhi salatu wasalam, is said to have performed miracles. Is that real? Did he do so?
Oh, yes. If you put into consideration the explanation that I have just presented to you, indeed, not Jesus alone, but many prophets of God, holy men of God, did perform what can be termed to be miracles. Indeed, in the Holy Bible, Prophet Aaron is said to have performed a wonderful miracle whereby all the dust in the country of Egypt was turned into lice. You can find that in Exodus, the book of Exodus, chapter 8, verse 16. Well laid out. All the lice in Egypt turned out to be lice because of the miracle that Aaron had produced. Not only that, Prophet Moses is also talked about in the book of Exodus, again in the Holy Bible, in chapter 14, verse 21, that with his rod, he separated the water of the sea. One part went this way, another part went that way. A mountain of water here, a mountain of water there. Thought to be a miracle. But many of them, when you look at them and you understand, sometimes it is the timing, and those acts have happened even today. God might have given him the understanding of a particular action that might happen at the sea at a particular time. He had that foreknowledge, and it happened. When he hit the rod, it happened. And at another time, even he hit a stone, and then springs start gushing out. God gave him that extraordinary knowledge, that foresight, that if you touch this here and you remove this stone, something like that will happen. Not only that, Prophet Elijah, a lady came to him crying and wailing. Her daughter had died. He presented the child before Prophet Elijah, and Prophet Elijah brought the child back to life. So the Holy Bible is full of miracles of so many other prophets. Yes, indeed, including Jesus Christ, he also showed miracles, which were extraordinary acts, which were shown by him by the help of God the Almighty, and he did it. Not only him, the Holy Prophet also did the same, and so many other prophets.
Sheikh Israel, did Jesus perform miracles?
But what you should understand here, just as my brother has clearly expounded, all prophets of God are spiritual physicians.
Spiritual physicians.
What do? They restore the spiritual sight that had been lost by the followers. You know, some people give much importance to physical, healing. But what is important here, and the emphasis put by prophets of God, is emphatically spiritual. Now look at the lepers that were healed by Jesus. May peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. You know, when you talk about leprosy in a spiritual world, it means being a hypocrite. These people were hypocrites. And when Jesus, linked up with them, he restored the spiritual, he gave them the spiritual reformation, whereby he treated that element of hypocrisy
in them.
So when you try to interpret everything physically, you lose the point. Now you look at when by restoring the dead,
to life.
Yeah, to life, it means those people were spiritually dead. They were, whatever their actions, they were against the laws of God. So when Jesus and all the other prophets came with the teachings, they were trying to restore the spirituality of their followers.
There is something very interesting in this matter. I want to ask the General Secretary. Jesus never healed people physically, because according to the explanation Sheikh Israel is giving, it is spiritual. All the miracles spoken of in the whole Bible are spiritual. Did Jesus at any one time heal people physically? Is this the impression you are trying to give us?
We don't deny the power of prayer to bring about physical changes and physical benefits.
Right.
Even with common people, not prophets, but humble servants of God, they pray, and indeed God the Almighty hears their prayers. But Jesus himself was even very clear on this. When you read in John chapter 11, verse 41, he said that, I know that, my Lord, you always hear me. So he knew the power of prayer. And indeed, he must have prayed to God, both to bring out those spiritual changes among those people whom he was preaching to, and who was his disciples and the people around him. But it is also possible that he might have prayed to God the Almighty, and there might have been some physical changes in the life of people. But essentially, Jesus was a preacher. Jesus brought spiritual life to his people, and that was his work.
Thank you very much. Now, coming to Sheikh Israel, what kind of miracles did Jesus Christ ﷺ perform?
Well, I would reiterate what I have said before, that basically his miracles were spiritual. Though, as you read the Bible, many mention is made there that the lame were restored and they could walk properly. And but when you look at the source of these narrations, you find that some of them are not all that reliable. But this is what I can say, because it is beyond reasonable doubt that the Bible has been interpreted many times. You know, there are many contradictions in the Bible itself. So we cannot fully and confidently say that whatever is mentioned concerning the miracles of Jesus are 100% correct, because the Holy Bible, even the scholars of the Bible themselves, also they concede that indeed the Bible has been interpolated. So God knows best whether all the miracles being mentioned in the Bible, the physical miracles that are indeed true, God knows best. But as my brother has rightly said, indeed with the power of prayer, even physical elements can be treated.
The General Secretary, to expound more on the kind of miracles that Jesus Christ ﷺ performed.
There is one basic mistake that people are committing, about which Jesus Christ was very clear, very clear. They attribute these miracles to the person of Jesus Christ. But hear him say in John chapter 5, verse 19, he says, the Son can do nothing of himself. He didn't claim the ability to bring about anything, any change, any activity. Whatever he did was only by the help, the grace, and the direction of God the Almighty. So basically these miracles were only brought about by his hand, by God the Almighty. The true author of these miracles is God, according to Jesus Christ, because he's very clear. He says that the Son can do nothing of himself. So he doesn't claim any superiority over anything. And I know that many people use these same miracles to prove that Jesus Christ was God. showing that he had this divine power. No, he's denying it. And he's admitting to the authority of God the Almighty. Not only that, again in John chapter 5 verse 30, he goes on to say that I can do nothing on my own authority. And again in the same verse ahead he says, but the will of the Father who has sent me. He doesn't claim any authority. Now, why are those miracles being attributed to him? Rather, God the Almighty was showing his support for Jesus Christ, because definitely he was denied and many people were calling him a liar and a false prophet. So God showed his support by showing these miracles at the hand of Jesus Christ. So they were not miracles of which Jesus Christ claimed any authority that he could bring about any such miracles. So the kind of miracles that he showed indeed were spiritual. Those are the main ones, because somebody cannot be a cook and he shows his expertise in playing football. If Jesus Christ was a spiritual healer, for God's sake, he should show his miracles in spirituality, in bringing about a change in the lives of people whom he came to, and they were wicked. He said they were wicked, they were liars, they were fornicators, everything. So his ability to bring out a change in these people spiritually is where he should have shown his expertise. And indeed, that's where we're looking to, that when Jesus Christ healed the sight of the people, he gave them the sight to spiritually see the spiritual message that he had brought.
Okay.
To call on their heart, to accept the message of God the Almighty. So that, like my brother had pointed out previously, that the lepers, it doesn't mean they were physical lepers just like that, but it meant that they were hypocrites who during the day could say that they were with him, and in the night they were among his enemies. So basically, these were signs shown by God the Almighty at the hand of Jesus Christ to prove his truthfulness against his detractors.
Thank you very much. Our esteemed viewers, the program you're watching is Truth Unveiled, and the topic of discussion today is the essence of Jesus' miracles. For questions or comments, thoughts or observations, email us on africa@mta.tv. Now coming back to Mr. Israel, what does the whole Quran have to say about the miracles performed by Jesus Christ?
In the 3rd chapter of the Holy Quran, that is Surah Al-Imran.
Surah Al-Imran.
Yeah, Surah Al-Imran, verse 50. Mention is made there of Jesus creating birds. But the birds being mentioned here are spiritual birds, not physical ones.
Spiritual birds.
Yeah. And what is meant here is that by having audience with Prophet Jesus, his followers, those rightful followers that were indeed sincere and completely devoted to him, they would become so elevated in spirituality that they will start performing miracles, or they will start performing such duties that they have never performed before. But all this in the field of spirituality, not in physical, not in the physical world.
In the physical sense.
Yeah, in the physical sense or in the physical world. So what is meant here in Surah Al-Imran is that by associating with Jesus, they are going to attain the highest station of spirituality, to the extent that they are going to transform the society. Now look at the inhabitants of Galilee, the fishermen of Galilee. These were the followers of Jesus Christ. May peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. Having associated with Jesus, the prophet Jesus, may peace of Allah be upon him, they attained the highest standards of spirituality, and they transformed the society that was surrounding them. This is what is meant by this, by creating birds, but not the physical birds we see flying around.
It is very interesting. Would the General Secretary give us another expounding on these spiritual birds that your colleague is raising?
I think it's better if we have an opportunity to listen to the verse that he has alluded to, which is in Surah Al-Imran, that is chapter 3 of the Holy Quran, verse 50. Allah the Almighty says, "Ba'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim, wa rasulan ila bani Israila anni qad ji'tukum bi ayatin min rabbikum anni akhluqu lakum min at-tin ka hayhati at-tayr fanfukhu fihi fayakunu tayran bi iznillah wa ubri'u al-akmaha wal abrasa wa uhyi al-mauta bi iznillah wa unabbiukum bima ta'kuluna wa ma tadakhiruna fi buyutikum inna fi dhalika la ayatan lakum in kuntum mu'minin." The translation of which in English is, "And will send him a messenger to the children of Israel, and with a message, I come to you with a sign from your Lord." Again, here you can understand that it was not Jesus himself doing it, but a sign from God the Almighty. The Holy Quran goes ahead to say, which is that I will fashion out for you a creation out of clay. It doesn't mean that Jesus created. Otherwise, if this indeed was that Jesus created physical birds, it means then you should have found it in the Bible also. It's not there. But this was a figurative, metaphorical expression,
Right.
or in the spiritual world, because birds fly from the world and they go up, from earth and they go up.
To sky.
The same also the spiritual teachers do. They elevate people from worldly things, worldly inclination, and they start going upwards to God, not physically, but
spiritually.
It goes on to say that I will fashion out for you a creation out of clay after the manner of a bird, which means that it will only be like a bird, but not a bird. I think I'm understood. Perfect. Then I will breathe into it a new spirit, and it will become a soaring being by the command of Allah. Here I want to underline the words by the command of Allah, which means that whatever Jesus did, exactly like he admitted in the Holy Bible, that he did nothing out of his own authority, the Holy Quran points out the same issue, that Jesus, whatever he did it by the command of Allah. His were spiritual activities with which he transformed the disciples who believed in him, and those are the miracles. And God the Almighty clearly points it out in the Holy Quran that all this was done through the command of Allah. And the Holy Quran goes ahead and says, "And I will heal the night blind and the leprous, and will quicken the dead by the command of Allah." Again, here it is very clear that the people that he quickened are those who were spiritually dead, that he gave them life and they could understand and follow the commandments of God the Almighty, and the world out there could see that these people had gone a spiritual transformation. They were not as they were. They were as if they had got new life. So this is the new life that Jesus Christ has brought in those people who were thought to be spiritually dead, and he gave them new life to also bring about the same transformation among the children of Israel.
Thank you very much.
That's what the Holy Quran presents.
Thank you very much for that grand explanation.
Yeah.
Turning to Sheikh Israel, what is your comment about the miracles performed in church all over the world today?
The simplest explanation I can give is exaggeration.
Exaggeration.
They are exaggerating and they are missing the point. Now, as you have been following our discussion, emphasis in the Holy Scriptures is put on the general behavior of humans, like shunning away from telling lies. You know, the brotherhood, helping one another, that this is what should be encouraged. Now, in the churches, what they do, they say that when the lame come, they are healed. When the blind, the physically blind come, the sight is restored. Now, by missing the point, what I mean here is that instead of concentrating on the moral behavior, on the moral decay that is witnessed in the society, they are concentrating on these physical miracles.
Physical miracles.
So this is where I'm saying that in the churches of today, they are exaggerating the miracles by saying that, in fact, they are going too far. they are more Christian than even Jesus himself that instituted Christianity in the world. They are trying to show that even they are more spiritual, or they are more religious, or they are more powerful than Jesus himself. When you look at the way they are capitalizing on the miracles today. So briefly I can say that they are missing the point. Instead of concentrating on solving the moral problems, the moral decay that is going on around us, all their concentration is put on those simple miracles.
Thank you very much. The General Secretary, a simple clarification just in 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
We have seen people giving copious testimonies about the effect of Jesus' miracles, that indeed they have positively gained. If this is a mystery that what people call miracles do not exist, how comes these people are witnessing a positive effect in the so-called miracles? In 1 minute.
People are being excited.
Excitement.
And it's just simple excitement and a physical excitement. And that is the benefit that is intended to achieve. Jesus Christ himself was very clear in the book of Matthew chapter 7 verse 22. They came out and said, he was talking about the future, on the day of judgment, that people will come to him and say, but we did miracles in your name. We prophesied and we did all this. He said, no, I don't know you, go away. He disowned them. He disassociated himself from them. And the reason for that is they are putting more emphasis on the physical than the spiritual. Instead of putting more emphasis on the spiritual transformation of the people, they are putting emphasis on the physical excitement that people should receive.
Thank you very much.
And many of what they are doing, the healing, hospitals, thousands of people are being healed every day. What is being done by those preachers, those miracle performers, which is not being done everywhere. But Jesus said that if you have as little faith as a mustard seed, you will tell a mountain to move and it will move. I'm still yet to see a miracle performer in the name of Jesus telling a mountain to move and it moves.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your grand presentation. Our dear viewers, today's program has come to the end. For questions or comments, thoughts or observations, email us on africa@mta.tv. Thank you for tuning in. Have a blessed day.
إن الله ربي وربكم فاعبدوه هذا صراط مستقيم